Well, listen to this windstorm and look at that rain. It's relentless. We get 1 or 2 days of dry weather and then the next storm comes in. Well, shooters and reloaders out there, Fortune Cookie 45 LC coming to you from the hot lead zone. And come on in out of the rain. It's raining pretty hard right now. What we're doing tonight is we're going to go ahead and load some 45 Schofield with the 45 caliber Hornady 255 grain Cowboy bullet flat point. Let's talk about that. The 45 Schofield, what we have here is our coax press with the sizing die from RCBS, the Cowboy die set, is in the press, and we're going to go ahead and size some of these 45 Schofield cases. So go ahead and do that. Size them nicely. We'll just do 5 of them because we've already done 95 others. So let's go over what we're using here. We'll put this die back into the die box because we're done with the sizing. Well, first of all, one of the stars of this video is the Starline 45 Schofield brass. And you see we got a big cup of brass here. The 45 Schofield actually was developed on a different line than the 45 Colt, but they're very similar in the size of the case body. The rim of the 45 Schofield was wider than the 45 Colt. So if you try to put the 45 Schofield into a 45 Colt revolver, what would happen is if you loaded 2 consecutive chambers, the rims would interfere with each other. So you could only load every other chamber. That was a problem. And of course the Army wasn't going to put up with that, so they wound up getting the rims a little bit narrower on the 45 Schofield so that all the ammo would interchange. The 45 Schofield is a shorter case than the 45 Colt. If you're going to load a lower power round, there's no reason to use a 45 Colt case. The 45 Schofield case, being shorter, is a more efficient powder space for smaller powder charges. Turns out that the 45 Schofield was loaded with a 230 grain bullet. When the Army went to automatic pistol cartridge, it actually copied the performance of the 45 Schofield. So the 45 Schofield actually was responsible for the ballistics of the 45 ACP. So here's our fine RCBS Cowboy die reloading set. Just because it says Cowboy dies doesn't mean you have to use it to load Cowboy ammunition. You can load any ammo with this die set. But it's called Cowboy because it has some nice antique look to it, some nice almost case hardened appearance. So it has the look of the Wild West, so it's kind of nice in that regard. We're going to use Tula large pistol primers, and these are very consistent actually. So when I bought these, they were less expensive, but now it's hard to find these. But the other star of our video is these bullets made by Hornady. They are the 255 grain flat point Cowboy bullet, and these are best purchased when they're on sale. Right now they're not. Now these are rated at 454 diameter. Let's see what they actually are. 4535, which is pretty close to 454. It's good. Now these bullets are not cast. If they were, they'd be a lot more expensive. What they are swedged, which means they use a lot of pressure in a die that squeezes out the excess lead, and they wind up with this when they're all done. Now the lube is in cross hatches. It's not really a lube groove, but the lube is like a molybdenum disulfide type of lube, and it's supposed to be very effective and efficient out to about 950 feet per second, which is plenty of velocity for what we would use this bullet for. They're packaged in a box of 250. Let's do a thumbnail test on the hardness. So you see, we'll just find that corner there and give it the sawing action with the thumbnail. And look at that dent. That's pretty soft. That's no more than BHN 10. See, that's a big ditch in there. You could almost use that for a rear sight on a fixed-sighted Western revolver. Now for powder, we're going to use Hodgdon Universal powder, and the charge is going to be 6.5 grains of Universal. That should give us not quite 900 feet per second. So here you see the coax priming system, and you know we've gone over this before in other videos, but just to refresh you, the way it works is you take a hex wrench, an Allen wrench, and you loosen up these 3 sliders. Then you put the case in and bring the sliders in and tighten the screws back up again, and that gives you the equivalent of a shell holder there. Then the primer arm is right there in the middle, and what you do is you charge the primer by hand, and you slip a case in like this, and then you lower, and that's it. It goes ahead and primes the case, and it primes it very accurately so that it's about 3 thousandths underneath the case head. And so you just keep doing that until you've got them all primed. We've done 95 of them. So you put a primer in, and then you put in a case, prime it. See if I can do that and stay out of the way of the camera. So there it is. Put a case in, prime it. So there they are, 50 of them ready for inspection, and the other block is loaded with another 50. Now to adjust for neck flare, for neck expansion and mouth flare that is, we put in the appropriate die and we back out the flaring stem, but then we go ahead and run a case in there and see if we have enough mouth flare to get a bullet in there, but that's not enough. So we just do by trial and error, just keep on doing this over and over again until we get the proper mouth flare for the bullet to go in. Not there, getting there. Now since the bullets are 4.53, that means we gotta get a little more flare. There it is, we're starting to get it. So a little bit more, that should do it. There it is. If you don't bell your case mouth properly, you'll shave lead, and that is a no-no. So for all of you new reloaders out there, like a lot of things we do, we check every once in a while and make sure everything's good. So as you see, we check that, and there it is. The bullet goes right in to the mouth of the case, and we're good to seat. Now if you don't do this, it's possible your die gets out of adjustment, and then maybe you got 60 cases that you run and it's not the right flare. So if you lose the flare, you got to go back and do all those cases over again. You don't want to have to do that. So check every once in a while and you're good. So there they are, all neck expanded and mouth flared, and the lower left is the last one, and it's all proper. So we're ready to go to the next step, and that's powder charging and bullet seating. So you see we're going to use our Hornady automatic powder dispenser, and there it is. It just went ahead and dispensed another 6.5 grain charge of universal powder. So we adjust the bullet seater die by lowering the seating stem until we get the proper seating depth for the bullet. Now once we get that, then we back out the seating stem and then lower the die body until we get the right amount of crimp. Once we get the right amount of crimp, then we go ahead and put the crimp on and then lower the seating stem back down until it touches the bullet. Tighten this up, and we've got the setting to do the seating and the bullet crimping in the same procedure. And that's what we're doing here. So you see now the crimp has brought that case mouth so there's no more flare left, and it's got a little bend in toward the bullet. So there we go, loaded round. And the Hornady powder dispenser is going ahead and putting out another charge for us while we go ahead and catch up by seating the bullets in the cases that are already charged. like so. And there's the next one. So the powder goes into the case. Let the Hornady dispense the next charge while we go ahead and seat and crimp this bullet. Like so. And we'll just go ahead and do them all, then come back and show you. So there they are, 50 rounds ready to go to the range. And if you could open a time window back to 1875, all the cowpokes and horse soldiers of that time would recognize this ammunition right away. That's good enough. Bye for now.